Alright guys, so today joining me live in studio is none other than one of the faces of the campaign, Kirsty Mckenzie, Australian model, actress, done many things, and you're a huge mental health advocate towards the campaign, but to sharing your story to the countless of people so they can simply get the conversation started. So, I will put it to you, what was the first thing you thought when I approached you about the campaign and told you the concept behind it?
I think like so many other people that have been on the campaign that I've watched and sort of watched their stories, it was a sort of fear of being able to put yourself out there and really commit to something and be so raw and so exposed. So I think that was my first thought. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, wow, this movement is really important. I liked that. I liked the fact that I felt that everybody on it had something to say, and it was something so unique and individual, and yet you could relate to it on so many levels, and I thought that that was quite remarkable and quite unique. So
yeah, and I know we've talked about it off camera before, but the couple of days when I sent you to the shots through,
yeah,
first of all, my first question would be, how confronting was it for yourself to see the images of yourself looking like that?
Oh, it was that's it.
That confronting.
That confronting. I sat there and I looked at my phone and I was like, oh, I don't like that. I don't know how I feel about that, and I don't know how I feel about putting that out there. So it was very, you can see I shuffle. So it was anxious. Anxious is the word I'm looking for. So I looked and I was like, wow, I've never seen myself like that. I think that's also quite something else, is the fact that when you see a photo and you know, once you're in those kind of spaces and you've been through those experiences, you never see what you look like once you're in it.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's going to be like, okay, you're feeling that.
So as an actress, do you watch yourself back on screen?
I find that very hard.
Because I know a lot of actors don't, do they?
Yeah.
They love the craft, but they don't watch themselves back. So to see something so confronting, such as an image, to see you in a space, like a headspace. So for anyone out there wondering how I get to these images, I literally just give you your safe zone, let you go to your story basically. How did you find that? Because as a model one and as an actress, you're given direction by somebody.
Yeah.
Whereas this is kind of free reign.
Yeah.
So how did you?
Well, I think sort of as I've gone through being an actress, not so much the modeling, I wouldn't say, but being an actress and exploring and learning more about myself and being in these situations and finding that, and then going into being able to know almost like where I tend to avoid.
Yeah.
It's like there's places I avoid because you don't. In your everyday life, you don't want to be driving a car and something like, oh, I'm a helpless wreck. I physically can't drive a car, I'm going to have to pull over. And humans do it all the time. You know, you'll find, and it's one of my most interesting things to watch in a person is when they've been through trauma or an experience, the way the face they put on is very much it's a face. And so having to sit and go, oh, okay, I'm going to have to sit in front of someone, you know, and I know that you do give the space, but you're still in my presence. So when I'm in my apartment and I'm in my own, or that's a very different experience for me. So that I can sit and I can do what I want. I can be naked and crying on the floor. Nobody's gonna care. But sitting outside, you know, and having to then relive that in front of somebody, and then to be captured on film doing that, it's rewarding, but it's quite confronting, and it's sort of, I think, the anxiety that was in after I'd done it. So it felt almost liberating doing it, but it was it's like it's a whole roller coaster of emotions that you go through. You know, there's joy being able to do it and help people, and then there's terror of what people will say, and then there's the fear of having to go through that thing again, whatever, you know. So that was.
I mean, there's a big thing that I always let people know within this, because it is such a personal thing. For a public figure to portray their job through socials, there's events, there's your modeling gigs, there's your acting gigs, to actually then interrupt this, should I say, and post an image of you looking so raw and vulnerable, it's a big thing, and it's a big ask. So for you to post it, you've just told me your thoughts of what you saw. What was the reaction from family and friends?
Funnily enough, if my parents do what they did, they will not see this, which will be amazing, thanks Mum and Dad. But they put their head in the sand, so they just totally disregarded this, and Mum and Dad just don't. I had other friends who came up to me and were like, God, I'm so sorry, I had no idea. And I was like, there's nothing. And he's like, are you okay? And they asked if I was okay, and you know, if there's anything they need to know, we'll do. And I was like, no, it's fine. I'm sort of helping raise awareness rather than, you know, posting a brutally thing that I'm crying for help. So I found that that was kind of different. I also had other people who have reached out and then just said that, you know, it's really brave, and it's hard to accept, I think, those compliments, and not compliments, but just
because you don't know how to take them.
How do you take that? Oh no, you're welcome. Thanks. Great. It was. I don't know what to say. Just, you know, appreciate that if it helped you or it made connected. Thank you. Then I hope, you know, and good luck with your journey and things like that. So I had people do that, and then, you know, you always find those other couple of people that go, you don't know what you're talking about. And they'd be 100% correct, because 98% of the time I have no idea. I moved my way through it. Generally,
but I mean, with this campaign, the whole concept is like, if somebody did come and say you have no idea, well, it's my story. It's my personal story, and I'm not here to portray to anyone that I do know what you might be going through. The whole idea is to showcase that I'm a public figure, I am a normal person, we do all go through this, and it's merely to educate people that it's okay to start a conversation surrounding it.
Right.
And that's the whole thing. You get these messages, and I know I've sent a few messages to you guys about all the people, the incredible support of people who have reached out from all over the world, just saying you've made a difference. Like, if I'd have known about this a long time ago, it could have saved me bottling things up, especially from guys. The amount of guys that have reached out is incredible. Like, just saying I went through this, and I've spoken openly about my body issues that I went through, and that's one of your things as well. And again, modelling industry, what stemmed you to get into modelling to start with?
So I think so at school I was an outcast of note. I had very few friends, and the friends that I did have would be known as what we call the frenemies of the world, and so you're probably not the kind of friends that you want in your life. And I came through extreme amounts of bullying, and not so much sort of physical, but psychological bullying, and never really fitting in. I was, so those of you who don't know, I'm nearly 6 foot. So I'm pretty tall, but I've been pretty tall since I was about 13, 14, so I've always kind of stuck out, and it made certain lifestyle things. So I kind of busied myself with external, you know, activities. I was a horse rider, and I never felt attractive. I never felt pretty, and I was constantly reminded that I wasn't in so many social circles. So I was constantly told that, or just picked apart. I think that would be it. And I was once going through the shopping centre with my mum, as you do, and there was a stupid competition, and I'd kind of gone, I was tall, and I think that was it, I was tall. I could have done two things, basketball and modelling, so, you know, here was a competition to modelling, and I ended up doing that competition, and I had won that, and from there it just stemmed lots of more modelling things, and I was going to go to London to pursue it, and my parents were like, no, stay in school to do that. And so that was kind of where it was. But probably for somebody with such low self-esteem, and for somebody who hated themselves, and I say hate is a strong word, but I was in a very, I hated myself, and I was constantly looking for outside validation. So if I got that, I'd be better. If I got the top marks, I'd be better at that. So it was constantly looking for outside just to make me feel better, which I didn't know how. And so for somebody going into modelling, already not liking what they had, that was probably the worst space to try and enter, because in the modelling then you walk in and they're like, oh well, your hips, we're just gonna see you have to lose weight off your hips, and you're like, what, no, nowhere else? They're like, no, just the hips, your hips are too big. And I was like,
wow.
if you figure out a way to exercise to lose weight only off your hips, I'm all in. I'm all in.
That's to you, personal trainers.
That's yeah, please.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they pick you apart.
They pick you apart, yeah.
Wow.
Which is, and I know you've spoken about your body issues as well.
It's just going to the modelling. I had a friend back in the UK once, and he actually got, as they say, spotted in a shopping mall.
Yeah.
And I remember him coming back and telling us at college. I know. I remember him coming back to college and actually saying to us all that he got spotted, and they said he was a good-looking guy and he could do modelling. So this was a few days after he'd actually gone to see them, and he said he walked into a casting room and literally got pulled apart. Now his self-esteem is quite strong, and he ended up being a Yorkshire man. He had a go at them. He was like, first of all, you approached me.
I love it.
And I've literally come in here because you approached me, and you've literally just told me I need to fix this, I need to fix that, I need to lose a bit of weight, I need to do that. And he actually swore at them, like, and walked out. Little to say he didn't go down the path of being a model, but he said if he hadn't have been stronger, he would have took all this on, and that would have stemmed his body issues. Now, I know a lot of celebrities have come out in the past and spoken openly about struggles with their weight and everything due to a demanding industry like that.
Yeah.
But do you think that did that create anxiety as well? Thinking heightened that? I know you said your thing was self-loathing.
Yeah.
Did it stem onto other issues?
Oh, absolutely. So the anxiety, it came across in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So my anxiety used to be, that's a fun fact, I don't know, pick things. So I used to find, it would, you know how some people just have a habit of sitting scratching?
Yeah.
Mine would be, I would find comfort in actually scratching, like picking spots. But it's really a revolting habit, and really not that nice, but I found that, or I'd pick at my fingers all the time, or bite my nails. So it would be that, and then, you know, sort of it came with that, and constantly being then rejected, because although you have great successes, also you get turned down a lot. And it would be, you're not turned down, oh, you know, sorry, we're after a brunette. They're just like, no, and you're out. You never know the why, so you're always left guessing that it was. And when it's purely aesthetic and you're constantly bobbing, there's nothing, they don't care about your personality. You could be a wet fish and they wouldn't care if you looked the part. They just don't. And it's, you know, so then that stemmed into sort of the anxiety and depression, that I was very upset, like just very deeply unhappy, and didn't see the point of, there were stages where I would classify that then as depression, that I just didn't see the point anymore. Like, what was there's nothing worth actually kind of living for. And I actually, interestingly, I was watching an interview with Cara Delevingne. Right. And I found, if you find on YouTube, I think it's Woman in something. I don't know the name, but Google it, and she talks about depression. And she reads out a poem, she's incredible. And she was saying that at her height of her modeling career, when she had psoriasis, she was depressed and stuff like that, and the managers, I think, were at that stage, she didn't say it, but I'm guessing that they were making so much money and she was so highly in demand, and what they did, instead of going, you have a break, here's a break, get some good nutrition, just rest, they actually took her to doctors and injected cortisone to fix the psoriasis, and just kept they were just medicating. And the managers were, and so
putting a band-aid on the issue.
Yeah, so it's interesting that that's how, and she speaks openly about the depression that she went through.
So you know, when you're in, this has just sprung to mind, you know, when you're in the changing rooms and all you girls are in there, was there ever a stage when you thought, should I mention it to one of these girls? Because if I'm going through it, they're going through it? Or do any of the girls speak openly about it?
No.
Or is it still seen a bit of competitiveness, so you've never...
Yeah, well, I don't know so much anymore, because I've kind of moved away from this sort of intensity of fashion weeks and things like that. But when I was doing it, definitely not. God, so competitive. Wow. You'd be lucky if you weren't pushed down some stairs. But it was, you know, and if you spoke about it, it was a sign of weakness. And that is like what you don't do in a crowd of girls is show weakness, because God, they are predators. Yeah,
and I suppose in that competitive, if they've got an age over you, they'll mention you're going through something, and
Yeah. And we spoke about that sort of scarcity mentality just before the podcast. And again, it's that because they go, well, there's only this one job. If I can annihilate one of my competition, I'm one step closer to getting it.
Yeah.
And it's a very different thing than going, well, there's actually a lot of jobs going around, and this might not be the right job for everybody, but it is that. And, you know, again, you're then in a room of girls that are, they're all 5'8", 5'9", 5'11", girls that are all brunette. They've all got X-color eyes. They're all looking like you're little clones of one another. Yeah. You know, and so you're competing against somebody who looks identical, and in a job that is based on looks. You understand that. I don't think in that. You know, I think it would be great if we could change that and actually help those girls. But then,
because I suppose they wouldn't have mental health educators within there, or doctors or anyone, just in case anyone's going through it.
No, and I mean it's interesting in France. I think they've instituted the BMI kind of thing. That you go, you're targeting one aspect of somebody who might be very unhappy, and it's a weight. Yeah. It's a weight and it's a height, because you can't change your height. So you're basing it on their weight, and you're targeting that, and you're asking girls who are in an industry. And so what people forget is that in the modeling, you could be 140 kilograms or you could be 30 kilograms. Yeah. It's not the weight that's the issue. Yeah. It's the mental health in the middle of that. So it's interesting in the sort of body. But no, when I was modeling, I never reached out. I don't think I reached out to any of the other girls. Yeah. You know, that you did.
But I do love, and that's not slamming the modeling industry, because you've seen the impact of changes they're making, and the larger ladies are coming out now, and people of different looks and things like that, which is good that they're embracing the different changes and everything. Yeah. So again, that's just bringing out the mental health side of thing, that if the conversation can be started within that sort of industry as well a lot more, and with people like Cara Delevingne, if she's mentioning it, that's going to stem a lot more girls to actually go, oh, I can get the help. Yeah. Because do you think if you had the right mentality or the help going into that industry, you'd have set yourself up a lot better? A lot better. Yeah. 100%. I would have been a lot stronger. And I think then that if I was happier in myself, any kind of rejection would have been like, so I wasn't right. And what age were you?
I was 14.
I think the same thing I was speaking to Jacqueline the other week, like when we're also going through those teenage years as well, you don't know who you are, what you want. Your body so you're sat here as a woman now, and you go, it's almost like those pen letters where you go, if I could write to my teenage self what I would have said, like what would you have said?
I'd be like, oh God, I would have been like, it'll all be okay at the end of the day. Yeah. Like you'll get through school, you'll get through it, despite everything else, you'll get through it, and it's those years, and unfortunately nobody's going to make them better. Yeah. So just, I honestly, and that's what I believe in, I'm like, just knuckle through it, because I'd love to change. It's so hard to think about all the aspects I'd love to change, but I think my biggest thing would be like, you're actually going to turn out okay. You're going to find some awesome people in your life, and they might not be there right now, but far out, you've got some fun things on the way that you have no idea about. I would probably say that, avoid certain people. Avoid these people. Don't do that. Yeah. And for the love of God, don't go down that pathway. But that's kind of, I would say that, just reassure myself. I'd love to go back and just give myself a hug and be like, you're actually okay. If you're rejected, you're actually, you don't have to be great all the time. Yeah. But you're definitely not the worst of them. Yeah. And so that's probably what I would say.
So now you're an actress. You found a passion for acting. Yes. Yeah. And you found that as kind of an outlet?
It's been, you know what? I think the acting for me I found the people that were in my life just got better and better and better in this world of creativity. I found more people like myself because I grew up in South Africa. Right. And acting was not really an avenue there. And I don't think people understood me. I think that's why I just never fit in, because I never found a crowd of people who just went, yeah, it's okay to be kind of weird, and you know, enjoy that. And then when I came to Sydney, I ended up on a set of the film just as an extra, and I loved it. I loved the processes, and it was literally like a wonderland for me. And so I decided to pursue that, and all the actors that are actually out there that have trained for years are going to hate me, and I just don't care. But I kind of was like, I was so naive coming from a modelling background. I was entitled. I was an entitled little shit. And I really was. I look back and I'm, oh god.
Get the red carpet out, Kirsty Mckenzie on stage.
Yes, I was literally like, what do you mean you don't want me? It was just like, and I've got great stories from doing that, and I'm embarrassed actually, but it's fine. But I saw this world and I kind of just went, wow, I fit in. I love it. It's creative, and I just want more of that. How do I get more of that? And then I actually discovered the sort of acting side, because being an extra is not really involved in script and analysis and characters, and you know. And then the more I did it, the more I met people on set, and the more I was like, this is amazing. And when I walked into a room, what I found was that you'd get rejected, but I'd been through so much growing up, and through everything I had been, and the psychologists and the anxiety and the depression, all those things, and then I'd walk into a room and I'd be like, I didn't get it. Far out, that sucks. Okay, next one. I mean, there's obviously certain parts and there's certain projects where you take a good 24 hours, and there's actually a fun thing, if you look it up, it's called the 24-hour rule, and Gabrielle Rogers, my voice and coach and beautiful friend, dialect coach, one of my best friends, put me onto it. And give yourself 24 hours to feel, because as humans we constantly press down, and if it didn't mean anything to you, if it wasn't something worth having, those feelings wouldn't be there. So the more you want it, the more it hurts when you don't get it. So the 24-hour rule is something that I kind of live by, and I go through auditions, and it literally is just allowing yourself. I suddenly entered an industry where I kind of was not suppressed. The emotions were not, hide those, you know, just be here, do that, stand there, move there, you know, wear that piece of clothing, to a place where I kind of went, I'm allowed to feel, and it's okay to feel in this. So that was why I kind of went into the acting, and I love that, and I've just met so many amazing people, and everybody has something to teach you, which I love.
But I think what you learn when you get a bit older, if you agree with me, is like you stop letting other people suppress you. Like, we do hold naivety, but it kind of naivety. Because in your industry, in the acting, I've been to Los Angeles so many times and know so many people there, and there's this naivety in this industry where, again, you're kind of suppressed. So if you're used to anxiety and that, and you're listening to one person, say an agent, saying you need to be over here for pilot season, and everyone's high alert, they're all anxious going there, and it's this competitive nature. It's all this heightened buzz around pilot season, and people saying you need to go over there at this time. So to be there for 4 years now going on, and actually learning the industry and knowing there's actually no point to be suppressed, because there's not just pilot season. There's mocap season, there's voiceover, there's a whole year, there's a whole season now, there's Netflix, there's so much things. So if you're already going through issues and you've got high anxiety, and you're being told by somebody and being suppressed by going, you need to do this, you need to get over at this time, or you're going to be staged. We talked about it before the podcast. So I've got a good friend, Jacqueline, who actually came on last week. She was telling me, she was like, there's two ways to look at things. You can be rushing towards something with passion, so acting, you're loving it, you're doing it for the process, or you can be running towards it with fear, which is just going to push it further away, because it's going to heighten your anxiety. You're going to be stressed because you're wanting it so bad, and you're going to be pulling, like you've just been mentioning. So stop being suppressed by people, really enjoy it for what it is, lower your anxiety levels, and just do it for why you got into acting to start with. Because as I say, it's a whole year that you've got possible opportunities.
That's it, and it's finding, I think, then the processes to help you lower those anxiety levels, and it would, for me, surround yourself, I think, definitely with good people. good people, because the minute you surround yourself with people that are, oh, there's only that one job, there's that's it. You know,
and people that believe in you.
Yes.
So it's amazing, like you say, how your life can change when you find people that have the same interests, whatever. Just
and they're not bullshitty people. Sorry, my language goes downhill quite quickly. I need to watch that. But
and by the way, can I just say, this is actually water. Right, we're not
pure vodka.
We've got posh water, just so you do know. I actually broke several glasses. I'm clumsy. Anyway, just so you know, we're not sat here talking about mental health with a glass of wine or vodka. But meeting people on the same wavelength, or successful people. Never take advice for somebody who's not obviously been through something or more successful, because again, you can be suppressed by anyone's opinions or anyone's thoughts.
Absolutely.
So,
and I think find what works for you, because what works for you might not be the same process that works for me, but you know, it's finding those things. And if you're actually working on self-improvement and actually wanting to work out of those extreme situations where mental health is sort of taken over and it's really dark, and it's hard when it's easier when you're not in it. To look in and go, oh, you could do this, this, and this, and then I think it's harder when you're in the midst of it to go, I actually need help. So it's acknowledging, and acknowledging is the first step to a lot of processes. Is acknowledging the problem, because a lot of the time we kind of go, it's not really a problem. It's fine. I just scratch open my skin. It's fine. It's just it's like it's a thing, and you're like, no, that's not a thing. It's a symptom of something that's going on.
So what would you say? And I always put this to people. What is the big stigma towards you actually opening up, or the fear of opening up to somebody? What was the response from people when you did?
I think the fear for me comes also in it sounds as disordered as it is, and it sounds is that I don't deserve it. If you look at my life and you look at the things I've worked towards, the things I've bought, the place I live in Australia. You know, I didn't suffer abuse as a child. I grew up in a pretty average household, you know. It was not a rich family, but certainly not the poverty-stricken end of things. I never really wanted for much, and so I've got this life that you go, you don't deserve that. You have nothing to warrant these feelings and emotions. What warrants? Why do you have those? You have nothing in life that suggests that you should be allowed those. And so I think that was my thing, and I reckon that came from earlier, where I've been told in my life that I kind of didn't deserve it. But I saw a really good psychologist when I was younger, and one of the things that she said to me was that, because we often look at it and we go, oh well, I definitely don't deserve it, and I look at somebody in, say, Kenya, or you know, a poverty-stricken country where the children are literally starving to death. You know, or you know, you've got these extreme situations of people have lost family members, and you go, well, my problems are not really. If you look at those problems, they're not really that bad. And she says, that's true. It is true if you look at it like that. But she goes, your problems are real to you in your life, and they're real. So you cannot neglect them like that. And so I think that really stuck with me. It
is a good sense, because sorry to interrupt, but even with body issues, I used to do this a lot with the body dysmorphia, and I'll apologise to anyone with this, because some other people with body dysmorphia may do this as well. You can actually look on social media and look at somebody who may be very overweight, and then look at yourself and go, why am I complaining? Similar sort of thing. But 10 minutes later, you can look in the mirror and you can pull yourself apart and go, oh my God, but... And it's the same mentality. And what your psychologist says is exactly true. It is true. That person may have more
weight
or whatever. They may own it. May be happy. Like, that's on you. Extremely skinny people may be the most unhappiest people ever. But exactly what you were saying. It's your thought process.
It is you.
Like, whatever you think, you know that is an issue. Like, how am I trying to say it? Like, in reality, like, you know it's obvious. Like, those people over there have the issues. So why are you complaining?
Why are you complaining?
10 minutes later, you forgot their issues because you're back in your own head. And that's how mental illness works. It literally, unless you've been through it, it grips you.
It's crazy.
So although you know you're not thinking rational, like you know rationality is going, the people in Kenya are far more deserving to complain or to feel like this than me, who's somewhat got an amazing life, who've got nothing to complain about, who he's looking at his body thinking, oh, there's a flaw there, or I'm not good enough.
That's it.
It sounds silly, but it's what happens in your head.
And I think people forget about that, and I think especially in terms of mental health, people often go, you know, sort of, especially the old school thinking, and I think my parents came from a very old school, just be happy. Oh I never thought of that, thank you. Thank you. I was just that simple.
I'll wake up and I'll
I'm sorry, I'll just leave and I'll go do that. That was so simple.
Wow.
Years of therapy wasted. Let's just be happy. But I think that was my biggest thing about posting on social media, is that people go, you know, you don't really, do you really? And I was like, I don't want to have to prove a mental health issue to anybody. It shouldn't be anybody's to decide.
And that's the thing, I think, we're sat here having a chat like this with a glass of water. but that's the thing, it's this easy to talk about it. Like, there's no fear, there's no judgment. You're talking about it like you've got an injured knee or leg or something like that. And I think that's the whole thing with this campaign, is just get the conversation started, because you're going to find people out there that have gone through the same thing. And I think you're talking about old school mentality. Our parents probably went through this, but they kept it so suppressed. So we need to break that cycle of keeping it suppressed. Because you see all these YouTube videos and you see like a little Asian kid with a white kid, and there's no racial prejudice, there's no homophobia, there's no, do you know where I'm getting at? They've got no other thoughts than pure connection, human connection and interaction. So it's almost being external factors of people that are learning from the old school, bringing it kind of in of what their thoughts are. We no longer need to think like this.
No.
And I think to our children, they definitely don't need to think like this.
They don't, because it's okay, there is nothing wrong with it. And, you know, sort of, I think there's so much known. I love the human brain. I think the human brain is just phenomenal if you think about everything it can do and does. And there's so much unknown. We don't know. If you tell me where exactly in the brain is anxiety, and I'm sure there's neuroscientists out there going, actually, but tell me how it works. Tell me if it's that easy that you can pinpoint it in the brain. Then fix it. How do you fix it then? So I love the fact that we don't know enough, and some people might have had experiences that have brought them to where they are now, and other people might actually literally have a genetic constitution that is different to ours. And I think not understanding it and not accepting it are two different things. We don't have to understand it to be like, that's actually okay. It's just different. But
I think the world is changing. I think that the more advocates for mental health, the more bigger public figures that have just stemmed from this campaign, and in Hollywood these days with Gaga and with people like this just actually actively speaking about it. We don't need to be sadly losing people.
No.
Like,
that's it. And I think that's the biggest change that you kind of really want to see, is that one less person feels like there is no other avenue apart from ending their life. Because I think that was one of the biggest things personally. Sorry, I digress and I make it about me again. Me. Yes.
It's coming from that level, Dave.
Me. More about me. But I found that the more life I saw, the more life was worth living. And I found extreme joy in stupid things. Like, I found posters in LA attached to sign, like lampposts, that would just make my day because they were so stupid. Somebody posted a picture of like a missing Elmo or something stupid, and they were like, "Have you seen this Elmo?" And it was just the best poster. And I found like you'd never have noticed it. There were so many times in my life. So I think it's finding the joy and realizing that life is actually, there's so much good in it. There's so much left to experience. And I think, because I had had extreme suicidal tendencies when I was younger as well, and I kind of just went, I am so glad I was did not go down that pathway, because there is so much in this world that I just can't wait to see and experience. And I think it would be great if there was a way to connect people who are going through that and helping them through. I don't know what we're trying to say. I'm stuck.
Just so people can speak more openly and freely, I think.
I
think that's the thing. And I the more research I've done on myself, and now I won't pretend to know that I know everything, because I don't. And that's the whole point of having clinical psychologists for the educational parts and knowing people where to direct and everything with this campaign. But the more and more research you do in it, and you speak to people who have had suicidal tendencies or people who have actually attempted it, is the fact that sadly we lose some people. Those people who have managed to survive, the one thing that a lot of them have said, when you can look into all the research in that, is that the moment that they'd either tried to do it, they didn't really want to end their life. It was almost like a cry out for help. Like Kevin Hines, if you've heard of Kevin Hines, he attempted to jump off San Diego Bridge, and he survived, but he travels the world now doing talks on it. He's an incredible guy, and he reached out to the campaign, and we spoke openly about it. Incredible guy, but that's the one thing that he was saying. And the more and more people he talks openly about it, the same thing comes through. So I think one of the good things that I did hear from one of the clinical psychologists was like, your brain can change like the weather. Like, which literally, if you think common sense wise, it can. So you can be feeling like shit one minute basically, and then you can see a child who's laughing, or you can, like, they've done experiments where someone on a train would be laughing hysterically. At first you'd be annoyed, you'd be like, what the fuck is that? But then more and more it's infectious, and everyone on the train starts laughing. And that's what they say, that the mind can change like the weather. So sadly we lose people because of that thought, where they're in that stage where the mind is like, I can't take this, I'm going to 2 seconds later that state of change could be different. So that's where we need to impact, and we need to get this conversation started with everybody, so that people know it's okay to actually actively talk like this. Grab a glass of water. Everyone's going to be thinking we are drinking something else because we're bringing point to it.
You keep mentioning it. Water. You physically couldn't drink vodka like that. That would be so bad.
You couldn't. But yeah, it's as easy as getting a group of friends and talking about it, putting your phones down, and actively speaking about how are you. A good friend of mine, and he's one of the faces of the campaign, Nick Brax. So people need to follow him because he does huge things for mental health. But he started making some short films, and the funny thing was, unless I mentioned it in the last episode as well, but it's that good, so I'll mention it again. He just basically, somebody says to him like, "How have you been?" And he's using this fake life. It is his life, but he's basically saying, "Oh yeah, got my kid to the posh school. I've got this awesome job. I've got this." And the friend was there just taken aback, like, okay, so how are you? And he's like, oh yeah, what? He's like, but how are you? I feel like shit. I feel miserable. Something like, I think I did mention it with Jacqueline on that podcast, but it's people need to stop this filtered thing on social media and realise that celebrities, public figures, they have to play the part because it's their job. And that's the whole part of this concept of this campaign. People are going, why are you using celebrities or public figures? And it's normal people. Do you know what I mean? So if we can get this conversation started, and public figures have the platform to get this conversation started, but it doesn't take away the fact that everybody's a normal person. We're all humans, and we all go through shit at times. But yeah, that's pretty much wrapped up. We could talk all day, like we can. But anything you want to say? If anybody's watching this and sees a young girl who's a model, just...
I think it is, and I think Jacqueline was speaking about it, is that not to walk on eggshells. I think that we spoke about it before as well, is the minute, there's also a fear of when mental sort of health comes out, is people don't know quite how to react. They think, and I'd love that to change. I think that would, and I feel like, I don't know whether to look at the camera or not, but I'm hoping you just cut this out.
No, this is cut out.
No, it's just gonna be the eyes. It's not. Go inside again. Watch me. Just anyway. No, but just to actually speak to people, find help, find your people. I would recommend everybody at some stage goes to see a psychologist, if nothing else, for the experience. Because so much about, and even if you've got nothing, that you feel you've got nothing, speak to a psychologist, because, hey, you know what? It actually helps discuss, and it's an outsider's perspective who's not actually involved in your life, who, you know, will sit and listen to you. Because if you walked up to a stranger and just went, hey, they'd be like, no, I don't know, that's way too much information, can you please go leave this? But yeah, I would recommend everybody just surround yourself with good people, and if you are struggling, speak to someone, speak to somebody, be anybody.